The story kicks off in a humble little shop, with a customer throwing a fit, yelling that 3 million is daylight robbery and calling the joint a total scam. Pointing at a magic jelly on the counter, she says the price cap should be 3,000 and wonders if the shopkeeper actually has any clue how to run a business. Right then our MC calmly claps back, saying this isn't your everyday critter. Holding the little guy, he assures her the $1 million price tag is totally worth it and she won't regret the purchase. The customer, however, angrily replies that the little monster only has a basic awakening level, arguing that kind of cash could buy a stellar-class beast. The shopkeeper immediately nods along with her statement, but then he quickly drops the bomb that his monster is infinitely better than any of those options. Clearing things up, he explains the little pet is a mutant beast with a devouring ability, capable of limitless growth just by snacking on items. Completely in disbelief, the customer asks why she should ever buy such a fairytale excuse. Being super blunt, the young guy points out that the only way to prove it is by doing a real-time test. Out of nowhere, another girl walks in, totally roasting the young master of the Liu family for falling so low that he has to scam customers. Dripping with sarcasm, the newcomer fake apologizes for forgetting that the guy was kicked out of his own clan. Caught off guard, Liu Yu addresses the woman as Bai Yuyue and asks what she's doing there. She fires back that she just dropped by to check on her ex-boyfriend, seeing as he has zero talent for controlling beasts. Shocked by the tea being spilled, the customer looks at the MC, totally confused about how a guy with zero skills has the guts to run a pet shop. Unbothered, Liu Yu states that rumors don't mess with his ability to sell top-tier products. On the flip side, Bai Yuyue is swimming in arrogance, claiming a total flop like him just needed to accept a basic life after their breakup. The customer watches the drama unfold in awe, pointing out that the ex-girlfriend acts like a literal cartoon villain, and she didn't think people like that actually existed. Nodding along, the MC advises the customer not to stoop to the level of folks who are just born bitter. While the ex accuses him of running a scam, the customer runs out of patience and decides to put the critter to the test to end the drama. Pulling a specific snack from her bag, the buyer hands the product over for the tiny creature to eat. The second the food touches the beast, it flashes brightly and instantly gobbles the item up. The slime suddenly gains this boss-level presence, rapidly leveling up its awakening rank right in front of everyone. Mind blown, the girl notices the creature's power just jumped from level 5 to level 9, plus it scored a water ability. Watching this insane evolution from the front row, Bai Yuyue is totally shook and screams that it can't be real. Holding her brand new pet, the customer ignores the party crasher, feeling super grateful she didn't listen to that garbage. She clarifies that the upgrade food belonged to her so there wouldn't be extra charges, and the shopkeeper asks if the 3 million will be cash or credit. Without missing a beat, the buyer hands over her card and seals the deal on the pricey merch. Right after the sale, a system panel pops up, congratulating the MC, unlocking his Tamer class and handing him an SSS rank skill. The system breaks it down. From now on, he can use a soul link to boost the evolution and stats of dark attribute monsters. Staring at his hand glowing with a red aura, Liu Yu celebrates finally getting back a top-tier gift after all these years. The narrative then hits rewind 12 years, showing the exact moment his life started going downhill. As a terrified little kid sitting on the floor, he asks his aunt what she's planning to do in the dead of night. The woman, who adopted him right after marrying the head of the Liu family, wickedly replies that her goals are pretty obvious. Overflowing with pure villain energy, she sarcastically asks why she would ever welcome a nobody orphan like him into an elite clan. Ruthlessly, Su Yajai spits facts, stating the only reason for the adoption was his ultra-rare dragon-focused gift. Grabbing the kid's head, the wicked lady crushes his hopes, asking if he seriously thought his parents just passed away in an accident. While brutally ripping the kid's ability away, she tells him he should feel honored to help her son get double talents. The agony of the ritual is crushing, making the kid scream in absolute despair while his special gift is snatched away. Beaten down and totally drained, he listens to the wicked lady sentence his bitter future right then and there. Turning her back, she dictates that, now talentless, the kid will spend the rest of his days being treated like total trash. Snapping back to the present, our MC reflects that he used to think he was doomed to run this forgotten shop forever. However, the game changed a few days ago on his 18th birthday, when an AI system suddenly woke up inside him. Through the interface, all he has to do is sell the monsters generated by the program to score points, supplies, and even brand new skills. Glancing at the empty counters, he figures hitting those sales goals will be a piece of cake for someone who already runs a shop. Wrapped in unshakable resolve, Liu Yu swears to pay back double all the disrespect he suffered under his old clan's thumb. Downstairs, the ex-girlfriend heads for the exit, warning the customer not to get fooled by that loser's lies. Cutting off the insults, the MC looks Bai Yue dead in the eye and says he's tolerated her being there way too long. Spooked by his intense vibe, she backs up nervously and threatens to call the cops if he tries anything funny. Having zero patience for the drama, Lu Yu coldly orders the girl to get out of his space immediately. But the villainess insists on staying and refuses to leave, daring the shopkeeper to show off another mutant beast to prove his skills. Right then, the AI pops up, warning him he only needs one more sale this week to score a super rare SSS class reward. Taking the bait just to clear his quest, the MC summons a magic orb in his hand to flex his worth. The creepy silhouette of a skeleton emperor spawns in the back of the room, giving off a seriously chilling dark energy. But when the light fades, what's standing on the floor is just a clumsy little bone monster that looks completely lost. Feeling insulted, Bai yells that she got a rare gift and blames her ex for trying to make her look like a fool with that dark attribute garbage. Unceremoniously grabbing the critter by the head, he defends his merch, swearing it really is a mutated emperor. Annoyed, the girl claps back that the beast is literally bottom tier and has zero impressive qualities. Oozing confidence, the guy takes over the argument and explains that this tiny monster's secret gift breaks the laws of nature. He details that, as long as it keeps taking down opponents, the skeleton can evolve endlessly until it rules the planet. Convinced the story is just a scam to steal her cash, Bai points a finger and demands he drop the lies right there. On the flip side, the customer chimes in and calls the blonde unhinged for begging to buy something, and then doubting it when the product shows up. The shopkeeper tells the young woman to ignore it, praising that very few people have the eye to spot a diamond in the rough. Snatching her smartphone in a rage, the ex accuses the buyer of being a paid actor for the scam and threatens to call an expert to inspect everything. She immediately dials up a manager she knows, demanding he rush over to the pet shop near the high school. A few moments later, an SUV pulls up on the street to answer the angry girl's urgent SOS. As soon as the manager walks in holding a container, the first customer makes a quick comment about the awesome slime. A system analysis screen hovers over the blue critter, confirming its awakening level really can jump from 5 to 9. Blocking the other's view, Bai flags down the newly arrived expert, demanding his attention right away. The guy apologizes for getting distracted and shows off the glass container, asking if the girl wants to seal the deal on her custom-ordered reptile. Scoffing at her own luxury order, she tells Yang to drop the animal and appraise the so-called emperor her ex is trying to sell. Flexing the flaming reptile in the glass, she taunts her rival, claiming her monster is actual high-class quality. However, the expert completely ignores her shade, locking his fascinated gaze onto the tiny skeleton chilling on the table. With heavy professional suspicion, the manager turns on an optical scanner to see what the little guy is really made of. The scanner lights up brightly, confirming the scrawny creature has an endless evolution skill and is still up for grabs. Hyped, Yang asks if the skeleton is for sale and promises to drop whatever cash it takes. Hearing this, Lu Yu gets pumped to finally meet someone who knows their stuff. Shook by the whole thing, Bai Yue asks why a top-tier tamer like the manager would blow 3 million on a useless monster. But Yang warns the ex not to judge a book by its cover and to look at the stats. He guarantees that with non-stop leveling, the critter could become an emperor. Completely mind-blown, Bai just can't accept that the creature is actually a rare mutation. Jumping back into the chat, Nayanian roasts her rival, pointing out she told her so. She tells Bai to zip it since she passed on the magic beast. Next, the manager mentions he also checked out the water beast. He backs up the endless growth claim, swearing the monster will wreck any competition in its weight class. The little transparent pet gets even more clout on the counter after that insane power check. Getting back to business, Yang begs Lu Yu to sell him the skeleton for the set price of 3 million. Sweating bullets, the exec figures that paying such a low price is basically getting an absurdly rare item for free. The MC accepts the deal, noting that the buyer actually has manners. Relieved, Yang promises he'll remember this solid favor. Furious, Bai points her finger and accuses her ex of playing her by hiding top-tier pets, but Lu Yu fires back that it's her own fault for being so stuck up. Acting super spoiled, the girl says she doesn't care and demands the shopkeeper bring her another unique mutant monster right this second. With zero patience left, the young guy states he's out of stock and refuses to do any more business with his ex from that moment on. Bai loses it and starts throwing insults, calling the MC a loser who got booted from the Lu family, asking where all this sudden ego came from. Surrounded by an intimidating crimson aura, Lu Yu glares at the girl. He bluntly states he's already had his second awakening. Feeling the room get super heavy, Yang realizes in terror that the kid's skill has to be at least or even S-class. Nayanian is equally stunned by the power flex. Meanwhile, Lu Yu decides to play it cool and pretend he's only S-rank so he doesn't draw too much heat with his actual SSS level. Shaking with fear, Bai collapses on the floor, totally dazed. She tries to process how this loser managed to awaken again and get such insane power. Looking confident, the MC states that the word impossible doesn't exist in the monster taming game. Trying to backpedal fast, the ex stutters nervously and tries to spark up a chat about his brand new talent. Having absolutely no shame, she begs for one more chance to try and win him back. But Lu Yu shuts her down instantly. He says he's not interested and orders the unwanted guest to get out of his shop. Humiliated, Bai gets up throwing curses at the guy, calling him heartless, and storms off swearing payback. With the drama finally over, the shopkeeper apologizes to Nyan and Yang, letting them know the shop is closing up soon. Right away, the customer grabs her phone and asks for the handsome manager's contact info to keep a direct line open. Totally pumped about the situation, the expert also grabs his phone to add the beast merchant. Weighing the perks, Lu Yu figures Nyan can bring in a bunch of fresh customers since she's a new college student. Plus, he notes that staying in touch with Yang could lead to a killer business collab, since they're in the same industry. He gets super hyped realizing he won't have to stress about failing system quests anymore. Not missing a networking chance, the MC pulls up his QR code on the screen so the duo can scan it. Minutes later, the heavy doors of the little shop finally roll down, wrapping up a crazy workday. Inside, the system helper pops up congratulating her master, while Lu Yu stretches, feeling relieved he finally kicked all the customers out. Super anxious, the MC wastes no time and orders the AI to pop open his daily rewards right away. A few beast options show up on floating screens, but the guy thinks the low number is weird. The system clears it up, saying those are the freebies. Scoffing at the options, he claims free stuff is always trash and orders the AI to pull up the premium items right now. Scanning the exclusive pics, he starts swiping left, deciding one animal looks hideous and the other completely doesn't fit his vibe. The virtual assistant highlights 3 dark attribute beasts to make picking easier for him. She suggests an underworld hound for its crazy offensive stats, but the shopkeeper passes just because he got chased by a dog when he was a kid. Trying to meet the boss's picky taste, the hologram brings up the image of a demonic winged reptile. Hearing the word dragon, the guy glues his eyes to the screen, showing massive interest in the recommendation. Without second guessing, he drops 600 points and confirms the buy. Instantly, a massive claw starts breaking through the virtual rift. A huge black reptile spawns, completely wrecking the floor of the room. The AI drops that it's just a baby, leaving the guy shocked by its massive size. The giant beast gives off an oppressive aura. The system confirms the monster's starting stats are already at the sovereign tier. Completely mesmerized by the new arrival, Lu Yu can't wrap his head around the fact that this hatchling already has such unreal rarity from day one. A chart pops up on the screen breaking down the tiers, showing that a monster's potential caps its max growth. Skimming the rules, he realizes the top 3 strongest people in the country have sovereign beasts, and his very first purchase is already knocking on that door. The digital assistant leans in with a smile, asking if her master is happy with his haul. Hyped for a bright future, he clenches his fists and says he's beyond excited, choosing to lock in the bond right then and there. A flaming magic circle is cast in the room, tying the tamer's soul to the black lizard in a permanent link. Next, the interface confirms the bond was a success, and suggests the young guy transfer his skill's power to the monster. Reaching out his free hand, Lu Yu channels his dark infusion. The massive reptile lets out a savage roar as it absorbs all that buffing energy. The hellish creature finishes leveling up, radiating a tornado of hot flames around its tough scales. The hologram pops up again to congratulate the boss for boosting the creature straight to level 10 of the primary awakening rank. But the trainer notices the creature stopped growing. He immediately asks why the beast can't break past that hidden cap. The system explains his own internal tamer level can't handle beings past that point. Hearing that, Lu Yu realizes he needs to grind more. Deciding the beast is way too huge for the room, he asks it to shrink. Following the order, the colossal reptile glows and starts scaling down. Now in bite-sized form, the beast flies smoothly around its owner. Relieved, the shopkeeper nods, agreeing this makes things way more manageable. Across town, Nyan walks into her dorm room, calling her roommate Royan over to check out her new pet. Seeing the bouncing jelly, Royan panics and tells her to hide it before Chu Ying shows up. But the warning comes too late. Chu Ying struts through the door with her hands in her pockets, smugly announcing she caught them red-handed. Acting like she owns the place, Chu Ying lectures Nyan about the old rule against keeping useless decorative pets in the dorms. Trying to cool things down, Royan defends the freshman, arguing she definitely didn't break the school rules on purpose. Annoyed by the fake alpha's baseless accusations, Nyan snaps back that her creature isn't a toy and she didn't break any dorm rules. Mocking the whole thing, Chu Ying asks if the girl seriously plans to keep a formal bond with that useless water trash. Ignoring the whispers in the hallway, the upperclassman wonders why someone with a rare A-rank gift would make such a dumb move. Holding her round pet to keep it safe, Nyan defends it, saying it's a powerful mutation with the potential to devour everything and grow limitlessly. Chu Ying lets out a mean laugh and says that's delusional since a basic slime maxes out at level 3. Standing her ground, the owner states she already locked in the bond, and her blue buddy easily hit awakening level 5. Stressed about the wasted cash, Royan warns that pouring resources into a starter monster will never make it top tier, asking if the freshman got scammed. Sick of all the doubt from the upperclassmen, Nyan sets the pet on the table and declares she's gonna prove its worth to everyone right now. The freshman glares at her rival, reminding her that she had to dump a ton of time and cash into feeding her overhyped metal wolf. Oozing arrogance over her own pet, Chu Ying summons her metal hunter, claiming the investment paid off because it already hit level 9. Firing back at the insult, Nyan levitates an insane amount of mystic stones. She tells the girls to watch as she proves the slime's limitless power. The second the magic stones get close, the adorable jelly gobbles up all the pricey minerals in one go, soaking up massive energy. Watching top-tier supplies vanish in a blink, the students are completely shook, unable to process how that's even possible. The fluid around the slime starts swirling intensely after downing that fortune in magic stones. The guy's AI quickly notes that the monster broke the cap and shot straight to awakening level 10. Royan is absolutely dumbfounded seeing the tiny jelly hit such a crazy high rank. Chu Ying and her sidekick step back in shock, unable to believe the insane flex they just witnessed. Totally confident in her little pet, Nyan tells the upperclassmen to keep watching because the show isn't over. Radiating boss energy, the water pet suddenly pushes its own cap into the starry sky tier. Rattled by what's happening, the senior student refuses to accept that a starter pet could reach such a mythical level. Furious, she points toward the door and challenges the freshman to take it outside if she has the guts. Out in the courtyard, the girl raises her hand and orders her metal wolf to show the true power of a predator. The steel beast charges ruthlessly across the battlefield, wrapped in a deadly red aura. With pure destructive rage, the beast leaps to tear the tiny blue buddy to shreds. However, the jelly simply spawns a massive water spear to counter, flexing god-tier power. Seeing the wiping out attack, Chu Ying goes into absolute shock, not understanding how her rival got so op. Dropping to her knees in the dirt, the student realizes in despair that her majestic wolf actually got clapped by the trash pet. Standing over her defeated rival, Nyan reminds her that this is the same tiny mutant she rejected so hard. Still looking down at the girl on the ground, the freshman says she'll let today's drama slide just because they live in the same dorm. As soon as the winner walks away, her roommate chases after her, begging to know the exact spot she bought that thing. The next morning, the sunlight peacefully hits the narrow streets of the city's shopping district. Walking into the beast shop, a red-haired guy looks around, impressed by the new business that opened up on the block. Spotting the tiny dark pet chilling on the desk, he assumes it's a worm breed and decides to buy it as a gift for his sister. Poking the animal's head with his thumb, the customer calls out to the owner, asking for the price tag. Promptly, Lu Yu says super casually that the beast is his contracted partner and is not for sale. Not taking no for an answer, the rich kid says money isn't an issue and demands the shopkeeper drop a number. Holding his ground, the shop owner bluntly rejects the offer a second time. Furious about getting denied, the arrogant guy raises his voice and starts dropping threats, claiming he just picked the worst possible route. Then he quickly summons a dark bird and orders it to teach the cheeky shopkeeper a lesson he won't forget. Unfazed by the flying pet, the MC just calls the intruder an idiot for trying to start a fight in his shop. Sensing the killing intent, the little reptile wakes up instantly, giving off a crushing red energy. Terrified by the insane predator vibe, the bird freezes midair and faceplants onto the floor, totally paralyzed with fear. Because of the mental damage his flying pet took, the customer ends up coughing up red fluid through their soul link. Staring at the dark reptile, he realizes in pure panic that not even the top clan in this industry has anything close to this tier. Sweating bullets, the invader figures the smartest play right now is to run for his life as fast as possible. Without looking back, he books it for the door, clutching his own chest that got hurt by his monster's rejection. Leaning chill against the counter, Lu Yu says the guy ran away way too fast and ruined all the fun. Right after the chaos, the scene shifts to the busy waiting room of the district's main hospital. Pacing the lobby with a bandage on, the redhead regrets dropping 5 million just for making eye contact. Suddenly, he hard bumps into a guy in a suit and rudely curses out the blind dude in front of him. The young master of the Luo clan stops walking and furiously asks who the guy thinks he's talking to. Instantly recognizing his own older brother, the troublemaker stammers, asking what he's doing there. With a strict voice, the older bro says he came to deal with the guy who had the nerve to disrespect their famous family. Panicking at the plan, the younger one waves his hands frantically, begging him not to mess with the shop owner. Annoyed by the cowardly vibe, Tianyan scoffs, asking if there's actually someone out of their league. Shaking with nerves, the defeated kid mumbles that the guy is a master who made a pact with a hell-tier beast. Hearing that scary story, the brother's eyes go wide, totally shocked by the massive news. Thinking it over, the suited heir remembers that a guy with the talent to tame a freak like that hasn't popped up in years. Taking charge of the situation, the older brother instantly orders his sibling to take him to this mystery guy. Still terrified of the reptile's power, the younger one hesitates, warning that maybe even the heir can't go toe-to-toe with that monster. Fed up with the lack of guts, Tianyan smacks the back of the kid's head, yelling that they're going over there to beg for mercy. Rubbing the bump on his head, Luo Zi lets out a nervous laugh, glad to see his brother isn't as dumb as he is. On the way over, the aristocrat figures the top families in the city would never hide the fact they owned an underworld flying beast. However, he concludes that to tame something that huge, the guy must have some direct ties to the big bosses. Minutes later, the two pull up to the sidewalk of the humble shop, and the younger bro points out the exact scene of the crime. The second the visitors walk in together, Lu Yu mocks the setup, asking if the customer brought backup just to get clapped again. Wasting zero time on excuses, the boss violently grabs his scared sibling by the collar. Forcing the kid to bow on the floor, the spokesman drops a genuine apology on behalf of the Luo clan for the total lack of manners. To prove they come in peace, he holds out a fancy velvet box toward the shop owner. Trying to make up for the disrespect, the young man begs the master to let the idiot behavior slide and accept his humble gift. The dark box pops open, revealing a crazy rare dimensional upgrade gem meant for the platinum tier. The MC's eyes light up with massive hype as he checks the specs and daydreams about the power of this mystery faction. He silently celebrates the perfect timing, since he was literally just needing to expand his own inventory space. Calmly taking the item, the young guy says there's no beef, since he wouldn't waste his time fighting a literal child. Right after, he scans the boss's aura and realizes the guy just unlocked a new slot in his energy core. Shocked by the spot-on read, Tianyan confirms he just hit the celestial tier and opened up his third slot. Chasing the easy bag, the shopkeeper announces he has the perfect beast for the customer's fire gift and points at the shelf nearby. Pointing at the pet, he offers a tiny red bird for the totally insane bargain price of just 3 million cash. The cute yellow bird blinks, looking confused while chilling on display inside its safety cage. Pressured by the intimidating vibe, the heir just nods at the offer instantly without daring to argue with the pro. Leaning into his family member's ear, Luo Zi whispers angrily that it makes zero sense to blow a fortune on a basic bird. Hearing the whispers, the MC kills the mood completely and asks in a freezing voice if the duo thinks his deal is a scam. Spooked by the heavy pressure, the older bro waves his hands, swearing he just didn't grasp how epic the product was. Lu Yu chills out again and mentions he only offered this exclusive deal because the duo showed such an insanely honest attitude. Flexing the glowing bird's endless potential, the shopkeeper guarantees the monster can eat any flame to grow. The suited guy listens to the pet's pitch with his jaw on the floor, totally starstruck. Hyped about the unique chance to buff his family, he politely asks for permission to run a quick field test. With the green light given, the master raises his arm and quickly charges a thick blue fire right in his palm. The second the blue flames get close, Tianyan realizes in shock that the tiny creature in the cage isn't even slightly scared of the crazy heat. In a flash, the adorable bird opens its beak and casually swallows the whole magic fire attack in one gulp. Next, an epic silhouette of a blue flame bird spawns, glowing super bright over the cage. Mind blown by the visual, the heir realizes this isn't just some random chicken, but an actual future fire lord. Bowing in deep respect, the suit praises the blessing, promising the entire Luo clan will remember this massive solid forever. Keeping his cool, the shopkeeper says it's just a regular companion beast, and there's no need to make such a big deal out of it. Mustering up some guts, the boss politely asks if the expert has any ties to the Lu family, famous for breeding dragons. The vibe in the room instantly drops, as the MC repeats his old family name with a voice full of bitterness. Staring at nothing, he coldly states he cut all ties with the Lu family a long time ago. Reading the room, Tianyan silently figures the master holds some deep-seated beef against that elite dynasty. Outside the shop, the duo formally says goodbye to the expert and heads down the city streets. With the place empty, the young guy holds up the pricey gem, totally hyped, deciding it's time to test drive the new loot. He activates the magic stone, making a massive virtual containment zone rapidly expand around him. A system notification chimes in about an upgrade, confirming the zone just hit the transcendent tier. Absolutely amazed by the space, the guy realizes that using the power of that item to rank up is just an insane flex. Shifting focus back to his scaly buddy, the tamer lets it know it's time for the beast to break its own limits. Soaking in the evolved dimension's aura, the reptile roars with devastating rage as its body undergoes a massive glow-up. The digital assistant pops up showing multiple screens, confirming the monster hit the transcendent tier and unlocked skills specifically to hunt similar creatures. Radiating an apocalyptic crimson presence, the monster stands tall, flexing power way above the standard baseline. Thrilled with the upgrade results, the young guy swears his pet will be snacking on legit dragon meat soon. The next morning, it's super chill on the sunny streets near the shopping district. The front of the humble fantasy pet shop waits to kick off another workday. Inside the place, Lu Yu is holding his little monster while chatting on the phone, asking if the slime's leveling up is going as planned. Chilling in her bed, Nyan reports super excitedly that her little water buddy already hit a crazy rank overnight. During the call, the girl laughs and mentions that manager Yang actually locked up his own shop just to grind levels for the skeleton. In a different part of the city, a bird squawks in pure panic trying to escape an incoming threat. Completely exhausted, Yang stares at his tiny bone warrior holding the defeated bird, thinking about the monster's insane stat boost. Meanwhile, the processing plant workers are whispering in shock about the guy's crazy speed, calling him an absolute madman. Getting up from his break spot, the expert tells the floor crew that today is his final shift doing the execution gig. One of the meat cutters nods, relieved, asking if the suit guy finally realized this dirty job is a waste of time for someone at his level. Holding up a sharp knife, the manager rejects the claim, saying he's actually gearing up to start processing pigs. Flashing a golden pass, he explains he needs to hit quota to get an entry permit into the higher-tier processing plants. With a crazy glint in his eye, the tamer daydreams about an endless horde of wild beasts just waiting to turn into EXP points. A creepy silhouette of the bone monster looms in the background, while Yang lets out a dark laugh, knowing his pet is gonna break all the caps. Checking his phone messages, the MC finds it hilarious, thinking this leveling strat is almost too broken. Still, he admits that chain farming eliminations is the perfect way to squeeze out that beast's true lethal potential. Stretching in his chair, the young guy figures his ally is gonna become a literal myth soon if it keeps up this crazy pace. Suddenly, a notification breaks his train of thought, showing his partner is funneling customers to his shop. Staring at the screen, he realizes he actually does need to pull more traffic right now. Without hesitating, he shoots a quick text to Air Luo, telling the aristocrat to bring his younger sister over to check out the goods. With the invite sent, the shopkeeper takes a sip of his hot drink, while the tiny reptile chills on his lap. Petting the creature's head, he asks for a little patience, swearing he'll expand the zone soon for a brand new evolution. Right then, a guy in a vest with brown hair walks through the shop door, strutting in like he owns the place. Hearing the footsteps, the owner gets out of his chair, happy to see the foot traffic is pretty solid today. Scanning the basic room, the suited guy named Jiang silently wonders what kind of premium stuff could possibly be in a dump like this. Keeping his usual vibe, Lu Yu says he wouldn't claim to be number one, but guarantees he only deals in top-tier beasts. Annoyed by the bold claim, the suited guy calls the shopkeeper cocky for promising such premium quality in a tiny space. The outsider looks the young guy up and down, making his absolute disgust for the neighborhood shop super obvious. Demanding receipts, Jiang orders the seller to stop capping and bring out these unique creatures right now to back up his talk. Without losing his cool over the disrespect, the MC simply raises his arm and pulls on his summoning power. A tiny green-skinned monster spawns, looking confused inside a magic cage on the shop's counter. Staring at the basic beast, the customer gets totally furious, unable to believe this terrible joke. Pointing an angry finger at the pet, he yells, asking if the kid is trying to play him with that bottom-tier trash. Throwing a tantrum, the guy complains he wasted his time giving the shop a chance, thinking he'd actually find something good. Turning to the desk, the arrogant dude declares he'll force this worthless business to shut down in under 3 days. The owner tries to get a word in, but the argument gets cut off by the sound of footsteps rushing down the street. A girl rocking dark shoes and pigtails walks into the shop, showing off a super flashy look. Escorted by her older relative, the new visitor notices Tianyan roasting the other customer's bossy attitude. Recognizing the duo from the powerhouse Luo dynasty, the suited guy freezes in absolute terror mid-step. Sweating cold out of pure panic, Jiang thinks in horror that maybe this elite faction is the actual backer of this humble shop. Full of dread, the visitor remembers his own family's business, relies entirely on the Luo family's financial backing. Totally paralyzed by fear, he ends up getting completely ignored by the aristocrats who just walked in. Marching straight to the desk, the redhead in the suit bows his upper body and greets the tamer with massive respect. Hiding behind her brother, the red-haired girl checks out the shopkeeper, thinking the guy is pretty cute and super young. Watching the whole thing up close, Jiang feels his world shatter when he sees the powerful heir call the kid at the desk master. Trying to defend himself, the guy barely gets a word out before getting harshly told to shut up by the shop owner. The arrogant dude drops to his knees on the floor, realizing he just dug his own grave by insulting someone with that much clout. Ignoring the trash on the floor, the boss points to the girl next to him, officially introducing his family member Jingjing. The MC replies calmly, agreeing to move forward with the scheduled appointment. However, he nervously thinks that if he doesn't make any cash today, he won't have the funds for his reptile's next upgrade. Noticing the kid's stress, Tianyan politely asks if the expert is bummed about not being able to sell the merch. Desperate to please no matter what, the heir doesn't think twice and announces he'll buy the rejected creature. Panicking at the impulse buy, the girl yells, warning him he didn't even ask about the pet's specs before blowing cash. Overflowing with pride, the redhead thumps his chest and swears he completely trusts the expert's products, leaving the shopkeeper stunned. Trying to hide his relief, Lu Yu lets out a fake cough and says that since they're begging for it, he'll give a deep dive into the tiny goblin's stats. The MC explains that this little monster gains stats and power by endlessly breeding and making heirs. He guarantees the stronger the beast is, the higher the chance it drops top-tier offspring. With that, the seller promises that with this non-stop loop, they'll soon have an insanely overpowered bloodline under their control. Mind blown, Tianyan regrets not immediately realizing how epic that god-tier creature was. Panicking on the floor, Jiang begs the heir to buy the pet for the Luo faction no matter the price tag. Confidently, the redhead says the big tamer groups only have power because they lean on the dragon race. Thinking it over, he realizes this beast's breeding talent will guarantee his entire family line levels up completely. Killing the hype, Lu Yu coldly asks if it actually matters where the creature ends up. He warns that the handler needs to lock in the bond immediately, asking if the aristocrat has someone in mind for the job. Imagining it, Jingjing thinks it's way too weird for a gorgeous girl like her to make a pact with an ugly beast like that. Next, the heir firmly states he already has the perfect guy in mind to take on the weird pet. Clearing things up, he reveals the chosen one is a bastard son of the previous boss, whose mom got secretly taken out. The redhead swears he was the one who gave the kid a shot at rejoining the family, totally convinced of his loyalty. Completely freaking out on the floor, Jiang realizes he just heard top-secret info he was definitely not supposed to know. Sweating bullets, the suited guy figures that the heir dropping that info so casually in front of him might mean it's game over for him. Noticing the unwanted audience, Tianyan shoots a deadly glare full of the desire to end him right at the guy on the floor. Terrified by the heavy vibe, Jiang starts waving his arms around like crazy, acting like he just went blind. Covering his ears in a pathetic performance, the intruder cries, claiming he went deaf, while the boss thinks about taking him out right then and there. Dropping the idea, the redhead uses a threatening voice to tell the guy to take today's events as a little learning moment. Radiating a terrifying presence, the aristocrat orders him to stay quiet, because if any rumors leak, there will be serious consequences. Swearing absolute loyalty, the guy covers his mouth and promises from now on he'll basically be a mute to save his own skin. Watching the circus, Lu Yu chilly remarks that the coward thought fast enough to actually save his own life. Dropping the subject, Jingjing grabs her brother's arm, demanding to know what's left for her if the green monster is already taken. Throwing a fit like a spoiled kid, the girl stomps her foot, swearing she also wants to make a pact with a boss-level monster. Trying to chill his sister out, Tianyan promises the expert will find a pet way better suited for her than some basic goblin. Hearing that, the girl's eyes sparkle with pure hype knowing there are even more epic beasts in the stash. So the boss turns politely to the shop owner, waiting for a brand new top-tier recommendation. Hyped, the buyer takes the wheel and straight up asks if the seller has any creature that perfectly matches her vibe. Flexing her powers, she reveals she has an A-rank ice ability and demands a pet with stats matching her relative's flaming bird. Without breaking a sweat over the crazy request, the shopkeeper confirms he can whip something up right now. Using the power of his interface, the MC guarantees the next drop will be perfectly tailored to the girl's skill set. A magic cage pops up showing a cute little frozen fox inside, leaving the customer totally amazed by the pet's charm. Holding the little prison, the guy listens to the girl ask super excitedly if the pet can also eat weird ice elements. Praising her brainpower, he confirms the beast can absorb any rare frozen essence to level up its power endlessly. Eager to test the theory right away, the girl summons a thick orb of freezing energy and hands it to the caged creature. The The second the power gets close, the charismatic little pup swallows all the ice magic without breaking a sweat, looking super happy. The system confirms the little pet processed the energy flawlessly, turning its white fur into a glowing blue shade. Absolutely totally enchanted by the results, Jingjing hits peak hype and says she'd drop up to 100 million for this unique piece. Sticking to his absurdly cheap price list, the shopkeeper casually drops that the creature goes for the same 3 million flat rate as before. Touched by the massive discount, Tianyan bows, thanking him for backing his family, and confirms he's wiring the requested millions. Waving his hand like it's nothing, the tamer says it's no biggie, wrapping up the most profitable deal of the day. Suddenly, his little black-scaled dragon lets out a wild warning roar, grabbing the shopkeeper's attention fast. Sensing a clear shift in the air, the guy mutters skeptically and decides to look out at the street. The road in front of the shop starts getting swallowed by heavy winds and dust, signaling something hostile is pulling up. Narrowing his eyes, he spots the heavy presence of a titan reptile and jokes that the monster did a great job trying to hide. Giving off an excited vibe, the MC figures the proud Lu clan finally ran out of patience and decided to make a move on him. Far away, the plot shifts to the fancy, quiet main estate of the faction that specializes in controlling massive reptiles. On the huge green lawn of the luxury mansion, a giant red lizard is chilling peacefully under the afternoon sun. On the house balcony, a suited employee respectfully approaches the boss, who is sipping her usual hot drink. Drinking with class, the villain Su Yajai brings up the strict order to track every single move of that loser Lu Yu. She impatiently demands if the snitch managed to find the stash hidden by the kid's parents, since it's been years with zero luck. Slamming her cup onto the saucer with full force, the lady shows her absolute disgust with her goon's endless fails. Bowing fast in obedience, the henchman reports he noticed a seriously scary power spike in the kid's journey recently. Shaking a bit, he spills that the boy reactivated his gift and even made a pact with a terrifying black reptile. Hearing the unreal report, the lady drops her superior act and jumps out of her chair, totally rattled by the threat. Consumed by rage, she asks how it's even possible for him to control monsters again when his talent was violently ripped out. Radiating pure wiping out intent, the evil lady coldly sentences that the bastard has become a real threat and doesn't have the right to keep breathing. Getting the order to take him out immediately, the employee bows his head, swearing to handle the problem for good. Meanwhile, back at the shop, the MC's system suddenly pops up, congratulating the kid for hitting the 5-sale milestone. Hyped about the sales victory, the digital assistant announces a massive reward, a random SSS class gift. The floating screen glows in front of the shopkeeper, showing a flashy claim button waiting for his quick tap. Absolutely blown away by the blessing, the guy asks if it's really possible to carry a second broken ability like that. Wasting zero time second guessing, he points his finger and hits the digital icon, accepting his brand new god-tier power. A blast of purple flames swallows him whole while the system reveals the ultimate talent, Entity Exterminator Flames. Thanks to the ridiculous magic pressure dropping in the closed room, the Luo siblings lose their strength and drop to their knees on the floor. Terrified by the suffocating heat, the boss realizes the expert just scored a new talent totally geared towards fire power. Sweating cold, he thinks that not even an S-rank gift could drop such an absurdly choking and fatal aura. As the magic fire dials back, the tamer looks at the customers on the floor, not realizing how opt that was, asking why they're down there. Shaking non-stop, the noble siblings can barely pull themselves together after getting rocked by that terrifying passive pressure. Trying to save face, the heir pulls himself up against the counter and makes up a weak excuse about his legs giving out. Panicking to escape that heavy vibe, the redhead grabs his relative and quickly announces they're leaving so they don't hold up his day anymore. Totally obsessed with the shopkeeper's unreal power, the girl tearfully begs the heir to let her stay a little longer. Ignoring the childish stubbornness, the boss pulls the girl by the arm, ordering her to stop playing around and head back home safely. The humble shop finally empties out again, leaving the doors wide open for the next inevitable showdown heading his way. The quiet doesn't last, as a hitman riding a flying lizard cuts through the air, screaming for the hero to step outside and meet his maker. Walking out of the shop with his scaly partner, Lu Yu notes that the enemy chose the worst possible route by rushing his trip to the Shadow Realm. The hitman on the flying lizard snaps back at the disrespect, claiming that sparing the kid's life back then was honestly way too generous. Looking at the enemy with pure disgust, the hero declares he only stayed alive and became a beast tamer so he could get his revenge. Right then, the scene flashes back to his childhood, showing the dark estate of the scumbag Lu clan. Knocked to the floor in agony, young Lu Yu begs his relative to save him from having his epic gift ripped out. But the guy just responds with a brutal kick that sends the kid flying. Walking toward the boy, the suited guy states that giving up everything for the main heir of the family is a massive honor. Absolutely panicking, the little kid cries and screams with all his might that he doesn't want to go through this torture. With zero mercy, the attacker brutally stomps on the defenseless little family member. Watching everything from her fancy chair, the lady asks with disgust if she gave the trash permission to move. Trying to crawl away, the boy desperately insists the ability belongs to him and they have no right to take it. But the guy steps hard on the kid's injured arm and sentences that this choice isn't up to him. Sipping her drink slowly, the ice-cold lady orders them to start the ritual immediately and get the job done right. With a wicked grin, the attacker immediately nods at the lady's orders. Pressing his boot into the boy, he forces the kid to scream in deep agony as the nightmare begins. Totally battered and covered in red, the boy begs them to please stop the madness. However, the guy stomps him again savagely, complaining that all the crying is getting super annoying. An ear-piercing scream of pure torture echoes across the massive Liu clan estate as the tragedy goes down. Snapping back to the present, the same attacker, now older, mocks the fact that the kid actually became a beast tamer. He reminds the kid he'll have to go head-to-head with the entire bloodline and asks who he thinks he is. Running out of patience, the hitman furiously asks how a piece of trash has the nerve to talk so big. Answering the insult, the young guy's little dark dragon lets out a wild roar, ready to throw down. Smirking, the villain thinks it's hilarious that a loser actually managed to make a pact with the winged reptile species. Looking at the tiny beast on the ground, he figures the creature was forced to spawn way before it hit max level. Overflowing with ego, the suited guy guarantees the little pet won't survive a single hit from his winged wyvern. Without hesitating, the guy waves his arm and orders his monster to whip up a lethal tornado. The giant flying reptile opens its jaws and launches a super-piercing wind attack. Facing the incoming danger, the MC and his partner stand completely still, showing zero signs of fear. The heavy gale slams right into the street, sweeping up everything around with absolute wipeout power. Sure he got the W, the attacker flashes a confident smile, assuming the tiny enemy beast is just level 10 trash. When the dust settles, the enemy's magic is totally blocked by a red barrier, leaving the hitman in absolute shock. The little monster radiates a terrifying crimson aura, while its owner stands there without a single scratch. With his pupils glowing dark, the expert looks up and asks coldly if that's really all the enemy's got. A colossal image of a fire reptile spawns behind the young guy, who warns his opponent he just dug his own grave. Giving off a suffocating power, the giant beast lets out a roar that literally shakes the entire battlefield. Sweating cold from pure terror, the suited guy stumbles back, stuttering as he tries to figure out what kind of freak of nature that is. Watching the flaming titan get close to his ride, the guy realizes in panic that the kid's monster is insanely high tier. With a mocking look, Liu Yu sentences that the green lizard isn't even fit to be a snack for his partner. Raising his arm like an absolute boss, the hero drops his ultimate skill, Dragon's Domain. Instantly, massive dark spikes erupt from the ground, piercing right through the green enemy's wings without a hitch. Absolutely terrified by the spell, the relative asks how the heck a loser managed to cast such a massive power field. He nervously realizes that only authentic hell reptile races can actually use that skill. Flashing a wicked smile, the vigilante confirms his partner belongs exactly to that rare and deadly breed. In a dark tone, he warns that this is the world-ending demon beast, born strictly to wipe out its own kind. Taking the perfect opening, the flaming beast charges unstoppably and sinks its fangs right into the pinned lizard's throat. Seeing the end approaching, the attacker goes into total panic, completely unable to save his own pet. The wrecked monster sprays an insane amount of red fluid and lets out a pathetic cry of pain. Running out of HP, the colossal flying reptile crashes to the ground, taking its tamer down with it. From the heavy impact, the duo violently slams into the dark pavement, kicking up a huge dust cloud. Completely destroyed and lying on the sidewalk, the coward asks himself how things ended up like this. Trying to run from his fate, the guy starts dragging himself down the street while coughing up a ton of blood. But a devastating stomp pins down his injured leg, making the villain scream in panic. Standing right over his prey, Liu Yu flashes a revenge-fueled smile and asks how it feels to get stepped on by trash. Grinding his shoe into the enemy's wound, the kid reveals he's been dying for this moment ever since that cursed day. Crying tears of terror, the relative begs for mercy and pleads for his life, bringing up all the love he gave him growing up. The MC's face darkens with pure rage as he mocks that so-called loving guardianship. Aggressively dragging the guy by his clothes, the tamer squeezes the loser's face and orders him to watch closely. A few feet away, the epic flame lizard ruthlessly tears apart the defeated green enemy's body. The underworld monster rips a massive chunk out of its rival, spilling fresh vital fluid all over the broken pavement. Snacking on the eliminated prey, the Hell Boss lifts its head and howls in victory at the city clouds. Watching his beast get eaten alive, the attacker screams in trauma over the permanent loss of his partner. Humiliated on the wreck street, the guy bows down, admits his faults, and promises to do literally anything to stay alive. Looking down at the pathetic target, the hero asks sarcastically if that promise is actually legit. With his red eyes overflowing with the desire to end him, the vigilante tells his attacker to go cry about his sins in the underworld. The colossal fire animal casually walks over to the defeated guy, silently waiting for its owner's call. With absolutely zero mercy, a giant dark claw drops fast to crush the tormentor for good. Turning his back on the mess, the young guy flashes a friendly smile and praises his partner's killer performance. Right after the fight, the holographic interface pops up with a smile, congratulating the user for taking down the hostile tamer. The digital AI holds out its arms, dropping a super valuable Crimson Star-class item as a reward. The shopkeeper grabs the item called Evil Heart, which holds the endless wisdom of a legit Dark Sovereign. A digital panel explains that if a dark monster eats the stone, it'll max out one of its abilities to the extreme tier. Floating around the guy, the system avatar keeps showing off the loot scored from today's lethal showdown. Clapping her hands, the entity excitedly reveals he's saved up enough points for his second contract. Carefully checking out his new options, Lu Yu mutters the specs, thinking hard about the brand new pet. Summoning a divine purple fire in his palm, the tamer figures he's gonna need a partner strictly geared toward fire stats. Mind made up, Lu Yu flashes a hyped smile and announces he's locking in that option for sure. Wasting 0 seconds, he taps the virtual button on the screen to buy his newest beast. Instantly, a purple magic rift tears open in the middle of the street, confirming the purchase of the purple flame emperor bird. A gorgeous glowing bird flies out of the rift, flexing ridiculous potential straight from the sacred spirit tier. The creature circles over the kid, showing off its absolute glory as the true ruler of fire with a supreme bloodline. Mind blown by the beast's aura, the master points out that the bird's power is seriously oppressive. Staring at the celestial beast, he realizes this is exactly what you'd expect from a divine-class pet. Thinking it over, the hero remembers that even the celestial lizard guarding the whole country only sits at that same power tier. He figures there are only 6 divine creatures on the entire planet that manage to hit the sacred rank. Reaching out to the creature, the young guy swears that once it levels up, it'll definitely leave the national guardian in the dust. Totally confident, the guy summons a glowing magic rune and starts the soul link to seal the deal. Sensing the bond, the firebird lets out a loud chirp as the energy of the pact perfectly solidifies. Remembering a crucial detail, the shopkeeper mentions he almost forgot and orders the monster to shrink down right away. Now with his newest buddy chilling peacefully on his shoulder, the kid nods in relief that things are way easier to handle like this. Holding a magic artifact, the Avenger declares that with this duo, he's gonna make huge moves to wreck the Lu family. Right after, the guy turns around, calling out to his epic chaos demon beast. Noticing his starter pet acting jealous, the hero smiles warmly and asks the animal not to be so possessive. Looking the grumpy beast in the eyes, he promises that the second he hits the weekly goals, he'll upgrade its bloodline. Ignoring the beef between them, the cute purple bird just lets out a curious chirp behind its owner's back. Then the tiny bird elegantly takes off and flies straight at the black reptile's giant scary face. With zero fear of danger, the fluffy ball affectionately rubs against the grumpy brute's scales. Caught off guard by the sudden love, the Titan underworld boss goes wide-eyed and gets visibly shy. The new member's ridiculous riz completely melts the deadly monster's dark soul, totally killing its hostile vibe. Absolutely defeated by the little bird's charm, the giant wags its tail like a puppy in love, full of affection. Seeing the hilarious setup, the MC lets out an awkward laugh, realizing that pure perfection can even soften up a dragon lord. Cutting the playtime, the shopkeeper holds up his premium reward and tells them the evil artifact belongs to his #1 partner. Breaking down the strat, he states that eating the item will make the reptile's stats skyrocket, pushing it right up to the sacred rank. Not needing to be told twice, the beast lunges in a flash and bites down on the crimson gem with full force. The massive dark reptile throws its head back, swallowing the pricey magic item whole. But right after downing the loot, the beast starts shaking violently, catching a really bad stomachache. Spooked by the weird reaction, the owner tells the monster to chill, since the item is loaded with a massive amount of wicked vibes. Watching his brute totally dizzy in the middle of the street, the kid mutters that scarfing it down like that was bound to cause major digestion issues. Seeing his partner needs emergency backup, the guy gets serious and promises he'll fix the energy jam. Funneling his own aura through his hands, the tamer triggers his spiritual processing skill to chill the darkness out. Accepting his boss's magic buff, the Hell Beast roars brutally as a massive aura explosion takes over its whole body. Wiping the sweat off his forehead, the MC breathes easy and announces the job is done, letting the monster absorb everything smoothly. Instantly, the Chaos Reptile gets swallowed by a crimson energy tornado, proving it just got a massive destructive buff. Right then, the digital AI pops up smiling in the sky, hyping the boss up for executing the move perfectly. The hologram girl excitedly reports that the Dark Ally digested the gem flawlessly, securing a sick power boost. Now rocking an upgraded frame, the beast activates its wicked dragon eyes, scoring complete immunity to psychic attacks and mind control. Thinking it's the absolute peak of creation, the animal strikes a tough guy pose while the tiny bird worships it like a literal god. Dropping the ego fast, the little dragon tugs on its owner's clothes, acting desperate and drooling from crazy hunger. With its eyes shining, the animal hypes up the god-tier taste of the evil essence and begs for seconds of that meal. Mind blown by the beast's appetite, Lu Yu drops a lecture, reminding it that the artifact is ultra-pure loot, not just regular kibble. Despite the chaos, the master flashes a satisfied smile, happy to see his pets getting along so well. Staring at the red stain left on the asphalt, the kid clicks his tongue, annoyed that he still has to deal with all that mess. Not wasting any time, he quickly calls up a contact and asks for a fast cleanup crew to wash the slight mess in front of his shop. A few minutes later, the Luo clan heir pulls up to the battle zone, calmly stating he got the memo for the cleanup job. But as they get closer to the massive puddle of fluid all over the sidewalk, the suited squad freezes in their tracks. Absolutely stunned by the red mess, the boss drops his cool and mentally asks if that absolute wipeout was what he called a slight mess. Kneeling down to check it out, he realizes the blood belongs to a Titan reptile, figuring out the wrecked target was the terrifying Wind Wyvern. Super focused, the redhead realizes only the cursed Lu clan owns those beasts, proving the fatal grudge the master has. Looking at the shop running peacefully, he's mind-blown realizing the expert literally solo-wiped a target from the strongest faction. Standing up carefully, the suited boss orders his crew to flawlessly scrub the dirty pavement. The pro cleanup squad works crazy fast, making the whole street shine like absolutely nothing went down there. In a different neighborhood, the massive mansion of the elite Luo bloodline flexes all its clout and money with decorated courtyards. The second Tianyan steps inside, a servant runs up panicking, reporting that the young heiress of the house is totally losing it. Staring at the furious girl pointing her finger at one of the estate managers, the boss immediately gets yelled at, asking if he's completely lost his mind. Overflowing with rage, Jingjing blames her relative for draining the clan's cash reserves just to fund that weird goblin's breeding habits. Stomping her foot on the floor, the girl drops a heavy lecture, pointing out that throwing funds at a creature's reproductive rate is an insane financial hazard. Keeping his cool despite the drama, Tianyan coldly explains that the ugly beast is gonna spawn an entire army all by itself. Swallowed by ambition, he swears that once he takes over the clan, the goblin troops will be his ultimate power base. Still pouting, the girl crosses her arms and protests, saying he can't just ignore her ice pet's food budget. Finding her jealousy funny, the older brother pats her head, promising he already ordered premium supplies for both pets. Right then, a maid walks up looking fancy, handing over the executive briefcase with the newly bought relics. The girl's eyes light up with pure hype, snatching the case right out of the maid's hands before her brother even gets a chance. The moment the box pops open, the glow of the gems lights up the girl's face, and she celebrates, totally enchanted by her brother's insane generosity. Holding the ultra-expensive fire and ice items, she cries tears of joy and promises she'll be his little sidekick even in the next life. Instantly killing the happy vibe, the redhead sweats nervously and warns her to chill, since all that loot is actually a gift meant for the master. Feeling played, the girl starts beefing with her brother, threatening to throw a massive fit at the trainer's shop over the injustice. Minutes after the family fight, the fancy briefcase finally makes it to the quiet street of the little fantasy pet shop. Standing alone on the sidewalk holding the heavy box, the girl thinks a bit more calmly that her relative's business hustle is actually terrifying. Scanning the vibe, she feels low-key insulted that he basically just tossed a priceless mountain of relics at some random shop owner. She remembers their serious chat, where the redhead admitted that without the expert's god-tier help, his power cap would have stayed basic forever. Looking almost crazy in the flashback, the boss swore that thanks to the fire beast, he'd finally smash the limits and hit the absolute lord tier. Carrying the case down the street, Jingjing figures that if she gets on the master's good side, maybe she'll hit the absolute lord tier in the future too. Right then, the girl unlocks the door to the humble shop full of hype and announces she's visiting the shopkeeper. She hands over the precious heat and extreme cold minerals as a small thank you gift from the Luo bloodline. Caught off guard by the flex, Lu Yu replies that the heir already did him a solid by washing the street yesterday, and he hasn't even had time to thank him for that. But the customer downplays the chore, saying that upgrading the bot monsters boosts the master's gift, which is worth way more than those tokens. Thinking it over, the MC is amazed to realize the system beasts actually do have that kind of crazy side benefit. Playing it cool, he tells the girl he won't be overly polite and just pockets the valuable items. Mission accomplished, the girl leaves quickly, promising she won't be a bother anymore and saying she's on call whenever he needs her. As soon as she bounces, the shopkeeper grabs the glowing flame mineral out of the fancy case. Checking out the red treasure, he figures the energy packed inside looks perfect to feed his brand new Empress bird. Through the soul link, the tamer summons the little divine bird, which spawns radiating an epic magic presence. The boss holds the pricey crystal out on his palm, grabbing the little buddy's attention for a hands-on energy-eating test. Without hesitating, the divine bird rushes in super hyped and instantly absorbs all the crystal's magic life force. The kid is absolutely shocked to see his partner smash through its power caps so fast. Instantly, the monster lets out a loud chirp as it suddenly grows in size, completely wrapped in pure purple flames. The AI avatar pops up congratulating the boss, announcing that the majestic bird jumped multiple tiers in one go. A floating hollow panel reports that the monster learned an advanced tier skill, brutally raising its lethal fire damage. Amazed by the pet's massive level up, Lu Yu realizes that monsters bought with points are honestly way more busted than the free ones. The story then cuts to the huge, packed hallways of the city's famous monster breeding academy. In the classroom, Professor Liu Ryohan lectures the students, stating that in this field, aggression will always rule without question. Holding a pointer, the teacher strictly asks which of the students actually has full faith in their own destructive potential. With an intimidating vibe, she challenges anyone who thinks they're ready to step up to the arena and help her with a live demo. Hyped for the golden opportunity, the guys quickly raise their hands, flexing their spells and their monsters' evolved tiers. Cutting straight to the chase, the teacher warns them clearly that volunteering means stepping into a real, no-joke battle. She then points straight at the desks, picking two determined girls for the day's practical showdown. Shocked by the random pick, the blue-haired girl points at her own face, trying to double-check if the teacher actually meant her. Nearby, an arrogant guy with his arms crossed scoffs, dripping with sarcasm when he sees the chosen fighters. The students around them start whispering, praising Du Royan's insane beauty and her top-tier support gift that everyone in the room wants. They also spot the cocky Yan Xiaopeng, famous on campus for owning a scary wolf built entirely to deal brutal damage. Nervous about the massive mismatch, the support student is terrified she's gonna get totally wrecked in the ring since she doesn't have any lethal combat skills. Nyanian laughs at her panicked friend, saying her defenseless little support butterfly is gonna get shredded by the school's aggro fighters. Super confident, the pink-haired girl suggests her friend buy her some snacks if she wants her to take the arena in her place. Relieved, Royan hugs her partner tight, praising her as the scariest student in the dorm just so she can dodge the duel. Immediately, Nyanian gets out of her seat knowing duty calls, promising to handle this little problem for her cowardly friend. Up in the bleachers, the guys are completely mesmerized watching, yet another gorgeous girl walks straight down to the official arena. Facing the instructor, the freshman asks for permission to swap out her squishy friend, who has major disadvantages in a 1v1 fight. Getting the logic behind the request, the teacher nods and approves the sudden fighter swap without making a big deal out of school rules. The instructor turns to ask if the challenger accepts the new matchup, getting a totally cold yes from the cocky guy. Showing zero fear, Xiaopeng cracks his knuckles and swears the duel will definitely end in his absolute victory. The girl holds her hands out, not giving a single crap about the arrogant opponent, summoning her tiny water jelly into the arena and totally weirding out the whole room. The crowd instantly drops into mass confusion, roasting the pretty girl for wasting a major pack slot on such a low-tier beast. Even Professor Liu is skeptical, asking if the tamer is absolutely sure about taking that squishy option into a practical test. On the other side of the field, the student looks at the fragile monster and gives a serious warning that in a real arena, whatever happens, happens. Wearing an incredibly smug face, he makes it a point to say he won't be paying any repair fees if the basic beast gets taken out right here. Hearing that, the girls' hardcore fanboys in the stands get absolutely furious at the fake tough guy's rude and cocky attitude. From up high, Royan defends her friend, yelling at the haters and telling everyone not to sleep on the round little monster. But a group of students complains that a basic slime is nothing but a joke, deciding just to cross their arms and watch the incoming embarrassment. Nyanian steps up to the center of the battlefield, swearing to teach them a major lesson about the massive risk of underestimating rivals. Absolutely not buying it, the boy thinks the empty threat is hilarious, and figures talking any more in this duel is a waste of breath. He raises his palm, summoning his crazy werewolf fighter, who tears up the path to the ring holding a giant cursed blade. The hunting beast lets out a massive roar that echoes through the indoor stadium, flexing its brute strength to the clueless judges. Despite the giant warrior's terrifying noise, the tiny water creature stays completely still and focused on the dirt floor. The piercing glares of the two rising stars lock onto each other in the center ring, officially kicking off the bloody clash between a savage hunter and an unusual prey. The monster fighter wastes zero time and dashes aggressively toward the squishy target, giving off pure natural predator hate. Using the deadly weight of a head-on rush, the corrupted beast drops a devastating sword strike, aiming to slice the slimy enemy perfectly in half. Showing absolutely zero panic at the incoming fatal slash, the pet's owner stays perfectly calm and steady. Under the silent command of their magic link, the blue monster triggers its unique shield, auto-weaving a tough barrier out of thin, glowing water webs. The enemy's heavy weapon violently slams into the water wall, splashing drops everywhere, while Peng demands even more brute force. Filled with rage, the attacker unleashes a non-stop barrage of slicing hits, trying to tear through the weird opponent's flexible defense. Soon, the canine hunter leaps insanely high, getting the high ground to drop a super-fast, lethal vertical strike. As the dark beast drops from the sky, thin and deadly water ropes shoot up from the ground, aggressively wrapping around the heavy creature's legs. The tamer's hyped fans cheer loudly at the newly revealed power, even though a few haters try to downplay the full block. Totally locked down and hanging upside down midair in the cold room, the dog warrior struggles, flexing every muscle trying to break the trap, but it's no use. Confident in the wolf's power, the troublemaker crosses his arms, casually waiting for the moment the water prison gets shattered for good. However, panic spreads through the bleachers as they realize the water grip is crushing the animal's chest, making the dark-furred beast throw up red fluid non-stop. With its body violently squeezed way past its natural limit, the dark giant spits out a massive amount of red, completely staining the perfect floor. Unable to handle the agonizing pain of broken bones, the predator violently drops unconscious to the ground, dropping its heavy gear far away. Devastated by his partner getting wrecked, the kid's eyes go wide in shock, wondering how that unreal event could actually happen in real life. With her tiny water pet floating without a single scratch, the girl enjoys her flawless victory, sarcastically asking if her rival is ready to hold the L. The reality check shatters the cocky student's iron ego, forcing him to silently accept that his lethal hunter got deleted in 1 second. Down in agony on the field, surrounded by the dust of his injured beast, the panicking tamer rips at his own hair in a major meltdown, unable to think straight. Buzzing with adrenaline, the champ takes control of the moment, proving to the whole crowd that monster breeding holds an endless amount of insane surprises. Remembering the young shopkeeper's big-brain advice, she strongly bets on the prediction that this beautiful blob is going to be a titan lizard exterminator. Heavily shaken by the unreal power flex, the academy students stare at the arena with their jaws dropped, absolutely hypnotized by the freshman. Then the crowd of hyped students reaches actual peak excitement, screaming non-stop, begging the champion muse to drop the plug for where she got the rare items. Sprinting across the sports arena, Royan calls out in relief to her winning friend. She hugs Nyan tight, celebrating that she already knew her friend would pull off the W in the match. Super confident after the win, the freshman lets out a little laugh and assures her that the fight was actually way too easy. Lying on the floor, the defeated rival desperately tries to wake up his knocked-out monster, completely stressing out. Royan walks over calmly and offers to heal the guy's injured pet. Totally embarrassed by the whole situation, Peng thanks her for the trouble and accepts the favor. On the flip side, Nyan crosses her arms and rubs it in the guy's face that this kind of healing costs a ton and he's getting a massive steal. Keeping it humble, the healing expert downplays the cash value, pointing out that everyone here is a classmate. The girl then summons her celestial creature, ordering the butterfly to drop a holy light over the area. The tiny magic bug lands on the unconscious dog, bathing the monster in repairing energy. Amazed by how fast the magic works, the kid realizes that kind of power definitely belongs in the gold tier. Trying to guess the bloodline, the boy asks if the pet is a white moon butterfly with insane potential. Professor Liu inspects the creature and mutters in confusion, since she was pretty sure that race had gone completely extinct. Correcting the mistake, Royan confesses that the creature is actually the guaranteed evolution of a basic starter bug. Absolutely stunned, the teacher realizes there has to be an insane pro behind a flex like that. The teacher immediately asks the girl to come to her office right after class ends. Super curious, the woman says that pulling off impossible stuff like the slime and the butterfly proves that beast taming has endless possibilities. With her eyes shining, Royan totally agrees with what the instructor said. However, Liu points out that epic events like that are entirely based on next-level breeding techniques. Dropping some lore, the woman notes that way back in the day, there was a society where the craft hit its absolute peak. Nyan is amazed to find out that such an epic era actually existed in the past. The teacher explains that back then, there were the creator's mythical figures who could level up a basic fish into a scale lord. The two girls react in shock, thinking the carp story is just a crazy myth. Keeping it professional, the teacher invites the girls to sit in on her history lectures so they can learn more. Feeling the vibe, the girl says it's a bummer that such a hardcore job completely vanished from history. Suddenly, Royan starts suspecting that the manager of the little shop might actually be one of those legendary pros. Listening to the chat, Liu instantly tunes in when she hears them mention a shopkeeper. Nyan backs up the theory, revealing that both busted creatures actually came from a magic shop right in town. Guessing she just found the mystery expert, the teacher decides she's visiting that shop ASAP. Later on, the sun is lighting up the quiet street, where the little legendary beast shop is still open for business. A premium black car pulls up to the curb, and a fancy-looking woman steps out of the ride. The sign of the mystery shop catches the newcomer's eye in the shopping district. Adjusting her sunglasses, Professor Liu confirms she finally found the place she was looking for. Inside, Liu Yu praises his little purple bird, while the dark monster swears it'll become way stronger than the feathered pet. The newcomer walks through the front door and politely asks if the shop owner is around. Reacting to the stranger, the flying monster instantly drops a heavy fire aura. Rocked by the sudden pressure, the teacher panics as she realizes she literally can't move her body. Wasting no time, the kid apologizes for the scare, explaining the bird just hasn't fully mastered its new skill yet. Completely amazed, the customer figures that oppressive presence is literally just the beast's passive ability. Shaking off the scare, she politely introduces herself as a professor from the local Beast Academy in the Mystic City. Looking the owner up and down, the woman assumes this mystery kid is definitely the famous manager Lu. Hyped, the MC mentions that the girls in her class are always talking her up as an awesome figure. Keeping it strictly business, the teacher gathers her courage and straight up asks if the guy is a creator. Caught off guard by the super specific question, the hero just repeats the word, looking confused. Totally chill, he notes that if the customer thinks he's a creator, then he guess he can be one. Checking his skill interface, the guy spots a tab meant for crafting and figures the title actually fits him perfectly. Across the counter, the buyer tilts her head, completely lost by the cryptic answer. She sighs in frustration, guessing an op guy like him wouldn't just drop his secret strats to a random stranger. Changing the subject, the owner asks if the customer has already filled her 4th pack slot and if she's in the market for a new pet. Staring at the profit margins, the MC mentally celebrates scoring another sale. Acting super professional, the guy holds out his hand and asks the customer to list exactly what she's looking for. The teacher explains her ability buffs the power of giant scaly beasts, and she's really hoping to find a partner with that kind of bloodline. Fascinated by the request, the young guy asks what her connection is to the famous Liu Tamer clan. Dropping the family name makes the teacher's face instantly fall into a heavy silence. A painful memory bubbles up, showing some guy trashing the Liu clan heiress for having a basic ability. In the flashback, she gets called useless garbage because she couldn't match the level of the rival Gu family. Dodging the old trauma, the customer crosses her arms and snaps back that buying a beast shouldn't require a personal interrogation. Having zero patience for family drama, the seller clicks his tongue and drops the subject. Shrugging, the guy bluntly states he doesn't have any purebred dragons in stock right now. But pulling out a tiny glass jar, the young guy swears he only deals in the real deal here. Offended by the audacity, the customer accuses the kid of capping, pointing out that the top 3 families strictly monopolize that monster race. Flexing his dark beast, Liu Yu proves he runs a legit business and that those giant freaks are literally just snacks for his pet. The teacher is shocked to realize the hellish genetics actually rival straight-up god-tier power. Ending the doubt, the young guy holds up the jar and invites the buyer to inspect the goods herself first. Presenting the basic container, the seller guarantees a legit scale lord lives inside that space. But reality just shows a little goldfish swimming peacefully in the water. Absolutely furious, the teacher asks if the kid grabbed a regular fish to cook for dinner and is just trying to make her look like a clown. Trying to cool down, she coughs nervously and asks if the expert accidentally grabbed from the wrong shelf. Radiating total confidence, the hero calmly states he didn't make any mistakes. The buyer claps back, saying no matter how hard he tries to play it off, that's literally just fake merch from the grocery store. Testing her logic, the kid raises a finger and asks if she's ever heard the legend of the carp jumping the celestial gate. The woman quickly recalls the ancient myth, where a tiny fish turns into a scaly giant by crossing a portal of light. Super happy with her smart answer, the manager praises the school teacher's deep knowledge. But the customer complains the story is just a myth, since the original gate vanished 100 millennia ago. Looking clever, Lu Yu asks what she'd say if he told her the carp can actually spawn its own ascension gate. The instructor thinks the idea of a fish making its own portal is completely insane and refuses to buy into it. Holding the jar, Lu Yu says he's not forcing anyone to buy and tells the customer to look elsewhere, but she quickly asks for a second and decides to take the pet. Keeping the momentum going, the owner hands the tiny aquarium with the little fish right into the eager buyer's hands. The teacher channels her energy and locks in the bond with the water beast. The interface confirms the pet actually has the specs to cross the gate and become a boss lord. Feeling the soul link, the woman is totally amazed and relieved to realize the kid's crazy promise was actually true. Hyped about her new partner's raw potential, the customer smiles full of energy and celebrates that the deal is insanely good. Flipping her attitude, the teacher bows her head slightly and apologizes to the owner for acting so snobby during the check. Suddenly, the creature in the jar shoots a heavy stream of water that hits the buyer straight on, soaking her outfit out of nowhere. Totally awkward over the clumsy moment, the MC looks away, sweating nervously, and quickly swears he didn't see anything. Covering her wet top, the lady tries to keep it classy and asks if the nice shop manager could do her one more little solid. The woman explains she left some clean clothes in her car and asks the kid to go grab her a fresh fit. Taking the quest instantly, the boy takes off like a rocket, saying he'll grab the dry clothes as fast as he can. While sprinting, the trainer nervously imagines getting arrested and blasted on social media for harassment if he had stayed in the room. Relieved he dodged that bullet, the hero figures running away was the smartest play, because if the customer called the cops, it'd be game over for him. Getting to the parked car, the guy pops the trunk and spots the right bag, confirming the stuff definitely belongs to the woman. Bag in hand, the kid runs back through the shopping streets to drop off the delivery on time. A little while later, work goes back to normal, and the MC takes his comfy spot at the desk again. With a fresh change of clothes and totally dry, the teacher thanks the kid for the major save. Keeping the top-tier customer service going, the shopkeeper brushes off the trouble and uses the perfect opening to ask how she plans to evolve her new water pet. Thinking it over, the woman says her last 3 beasts run metal, water, and wind stats. The customer admits she's super curious to try a totally new path to trigger the little red fish's evolution. Plan locked in, the teacher summons a purple magic gem in her hand, choosing to use an item completely loaded with lightning power. Without hesitating, the woman tosses the pricey stone right at the tiny fish chilling in its water tank. The second the gem hits the water, the beast aggressively eats the electric aura, getting a wild lightning glow all over its scales. Instantly, a massive phantom structure spawns inside the shop, forcing the woman to stand there in awe as the myth becomes reality. Noticing the magic glitch in the room, the black-scaled lord on the owner's shoulder lets out a savage warning roar. The shopkeeper pets his grumpy buddy's neck, telling the beast to chill and not start any beef. Spooked by the intimidating noise, the buyer nervously asks if she messed up the absorption and triggered the Dark Lord. Assuring her everything is cool, Lu Yu tells the woman to focus entirely on the pet's trial, and she nods, still a bit tense. Next, the duo locks their eyes back on the orange fish floating in a bubble of magic fluid, getting ready for the ultimate celestial challenge. The giant ghost portal starts pulsing with aggressive purple lightning, dropping heavy pressure all over the little shop. Checking the room, the manager warns that the divine path is stable, and the rank up will trigger as soon as the beast crosses the lightning zone. Confident her partner will pull it off, the teacher raises her arm and strictly orders the little fish to swim hard and meet its destiny. Taking orders from its master, the brave carp launches itself into the energy wave, swimming endlessly toward the top of the obstacle. But the celestial pressure on the way up is crushing, forcing the little water pet to struggle hard against the heavy lightning strikes. The animal's tiny body shakes violently inside its shield, trying to tank the massive hits from the ancient trial. Suddenly, the magic water bubble protecting the beast starts cracking dangerously, looking like it's gonna shatter completely any second. Staring at the impossible wall, the teacher gets anxious and frantically asks if her brand new partner might actually fail the divine test. Keeping his cool, the MC explains that the portal requires the master to use their own life force to back up the struggling fish. Getting the core message, the woman quickly casts a dragon wing skill, totally catching the kid off guard with a high-level technique. Giving off a solid support aura, the master pours in all her magic power, praying her ally can beat the insane roadblock. Boosted by its leader's spell, the beast gets a massive jump buff and violently charges at the celestial gate. The crash against the pillars triggers a massive blinding explosion, while the tiny animal's willpower hits the absolute peak of its hero arc. Throwing her arms out full of magic energy, the customer screams at the top of her lungs, ordering the carp to break the ancient barrier for good. In an epic flight wrapped in god-tier power, the pet finally clears the golden gate, clutching the W with absolute power. During the glorious drop from the sky, the little fish starts magically shape-shifting, proving the carp's epic jump was a total success. Feeling a weird heat in her chest, the teacher realizes in pure shock that her own tamer potential just woke up right on the spot. Smiling calmly, the guy explains that the Soul Link lets the monster's epic rank up instantly boost the owner's hidden talents. Processing the tech specs, the customer's eyes go wide, stunned by the insane, instant buffs you get from shopping at this little spot. Suddenly, giant red dragon wings sprout from the woman's back, making her gasp in awe at the blessing she just scored. In the middle of the shop, the blinding light fades, showing off a magnificent flaming celestial beast named the Crimson Lightning Flood Dragon. The epic fire monster coils around its new winged master, flexing the overwhelming power of a transcendent tier beast to everyone in the room. Checking out the furious monster, the teacher admits that even though the pet is lethal, it still doesn't have true Titan dragon blood. Not beating around the bush, the shopkeeper honestly confirms the new beast isn't a pure winged king, but actually an aquatic flood variant. He clears up that the massive dragon category is split into groups, giving examples like the giant reptiles and the rare eastern flood serpents. But the kid promises that if she grinds the beautiful beast all the way to the overlord class, it will 100 evolve into a pure dragon. Pivoting the chat back to money, the smart seller asks for 5 million flat for the pet in the magical experience, asking how she wants to pay. Mind blown by the unreal deal for such crazy power, the buyer pulls out her luxury phone and wires the cash super fast, terrified he might raise the price. The moment the girl leaves super happy, the MC gives a chill hand sign, letting his giant partner know it's all good to come back out. The dark boss pops out roaring with pure hype, and the smart kid instantly realizes that watching the epic flex totally fired up his allies' drive to level up too. A digital divine projection announces that the ancient barrier carries the pure energy of ancient western dragons, offering key lore drops for the dark beast. With its giant eyes flashing an unshakable predator vibe, the chaos pup roars violently, ready to finally hit its next evolution stage. The kid's glowing interface pops up right in his face, confirming the straight jump to the stellar rank plus extreme sacred abilities unlocked. Staring intensely at his underworld creature's insane stats, the hero flashes a massive proud smile and tells the world that the outcome was absolutely epic. Miles away on the other side of the noisy city, the late-night dark is already covering the quiet, fancy grounds of an elite mega mansion. Collapsed on the luxury couch, the teacher sighs, muttering that the exhausting trip felt like a crazy fever dream, never expecting she'd actually sign a supreme bloodline pet. Breaking the quiet house, heavy knocks on the front door echo through the living room, making the woman wonder who'd show up at such a weird time. Ripping the front door open, the teacher's eyes go wide in awe, and she deeply bows to the suited old man who used to be her absolute best private tutor. Overflowing with charisma, the polite master smiles warmly and carefully asks if he accidentally crashed his old student's beauty sleep. Without missing a beat, the owner says absolutely not and immediately steps aside, inviting the VIP guest inside. Getting comfortable on the luxury furniture, the wise old man starts the chat by kindly asking how the teacher liked her first day lecturing the kids. Hyped about the new gig, the woman happily reports she loved the experience and drops that she found 2 genius students who definitely deserve the old man's elite coaching. Totally intrigued by the news, the veteran raises an eyebrow in surprise and asks her to spill all the details on these 2 standout girls. The teacher explains the freshmen are Nyan and Royan, and that they locked in unreal packs with monsters built for infinite power scaling. Sitting as the absolute top dog of the faculty, the old man totally loses his cool in a split second, acting mind-blown when he hears about the rare lethal beast drops. Keeping the topic going, the veteran tutor declares that any tamer blessed with a cheat code like that will 100 become a core strategic pillar for the whole country. Keeping it totally real, the teacher admits she also scored an epic deal at the exact same shop the students went to. The teacher explains that at first, the pet was literally just a red fish, but then it evolved and unlocked extreme power, leaving the old man absolutely shook. Anxious for the details, the wise guy immediately demands his student summon the creature so he can stat check it himself. Following orders, the ex-student lets her magic partner out, spawning the massive celestial beast right in the middle of the main room. The epic dragon drops in, flexing every ounce of its overwhelming boss presence. Absolutely starstruck, The old man realizes it's the ultra-rare water dragon, noting those things vanished from the ancient realm years ago. Still in disbelief, he asks if all these pets with broken stats were legit bought at the exact same spot. Thinking it over, the woman nods and says the owner's prices are a literal joke, guessing he's definitely not doing it for the bag. To the teacher, the shop manager has to be running some massive global master plan to build an army of unbeatable tamers. The old man gets quiet, trying to process the absolute shock that an event this game-changing is happening just down the street from the academy. Taking the opening, the teacher reads the room and asks if the wise man thinks a kid could ever hit the absolute max SSS rank. Keeping his formal vibe, the old guy bluntly replies that right now, the odds of a tamer having that kind of firepower are zero. He heavily regrets that the golden age of magic taming was completely wiped out specifically because of one guy who had that exact overpowered rank. He then adds that if a prodigy like that drops again, it's impossible to tell if they'll bring huge blessings or totally crash the server. Terrified of where the chat is going, the woman hesitates to drop the kid's real rank, scared the government might lock him up and cause an unfixable disaster. Trying to chill the heavy vibe, she suggests the teacher send some reliable elite cadets to buy new beasts at the magic shop. Keeping a straight face, she argues that a move like that would build a solid diplomatic bridge while also working as a low-key background check. Buying into the big brain strat, the wise teacher nods and decides to follow his old student's advice to the letter. The next day, the vibe is super chill outside the little celestial beast shop. Inside, the hero checks his system interface, which is teasing a mystery reward as soon as he officially buys the shop's deed. Super hyped for the quest, the kid grabs his phone, figuring the mission is an easy W since his current balance covers the cost easily. Without hesitating, the tamer calls the landlord directly and drops a straight offer of 17 million to buy the spot. On the other end, the greedy landlord scoffs, rejects the deal, and demands the kid wait for a face-to-face meeting. Alone in the room, the hero doesn't get the guy's rejection, since he checked local prices and offered 2 million over market value. Back in his fancy office, the landlord shows his true colors, figuring the kid's desperation is the perfect chance to squeeze him for more cash. Full of villain energy, the old man orders the shopkeeper to stop playing games and wait for him at the address. Hanging up annoyed, the young master just sighs at the absolutely ridiculous, greedy attitude of that scammer.